little more context now that I got some charge to my device. Let me see. Can I get my sound to be a little bit better? Usually my headphones makes my sound much better. I don't know what's going on with my mic on my phone. So, but I just finished my moon call, my full moon call, and I said, let me go ahead and do this part two to give a little bit more context to the last video. When I said it's not your worth, it's God's worth. So I was able to get to the point of in the video, the last video, that our talent, skills, passions, desires, all these different things, they're not ours like that. Give me a thumbs up for those who are here to let me know my sound is all right. They're not ours like that. And so here's the thing: these talent, skills, your vision, the things you find yourself doing, um, the Almighty, like the way God works, the way life works, is you're going to constantly be pushed to expand, expand, so that you are functioning on God's level. You know, God wants more from you. The energy of God is always looking for you to bear your best fruit. And so you're going to be challenged and pushed in a certain way to uphold certain standards, to uphold certain boundaries, to uphold certain values. And so that's why I said, it's very important for you to be a good steward over your gifts and talents and passions and material things and your dreams and your visions and all of this, and make sure that you maintain the value of them, that you are not um treating them like, I gave an example in my call just that I just got off of. Imagine a car that's worth 70,000, a car that's worth 7,000. Some may say a car is a car, but those who know a $70,000 car is not a $7,000 car. And so you're going to have to be a good steward over that $70,000 car. You're going to have to put premium gas in it. You can't put the regular unleaded like the $7,000 car. You're gonna have to do that max service that may cost you, $600, while it only costs you $60 in that $7,000 car. But again, those who know that $70,000 car is different than that $7,000 car. There's certain it carries a certain energy. I've even heard people say certain cars, I don't get that kind of car because it carries certain type of energy. There's a certain vortex with it. But that's the same thing with your gifts, your skills, your talents, your material things, all these things of your life. At God value, there's a certain way that you're supposed to maintain it so that it can really um, be all that it is supposed to be, do all that it is supposed to do. And so if you're an entrepreneur, that goes for you. With the skills and talents and everything that God has blessed you with, um, you're going to discern what's the value of it. And if you don't uphold that value, then you are going to be devalued. And when you are being devalued, you allowing God's talents to be devalued. And so we're not just talking about money here either, right? We're not just talking about money here. So here's the thing: we sell natural, organic, chemical free food here. We sell some of the same things that a Walmart or another store may sell, right? Our kale bundle may be a certain price, while in the store it could be almost 5 times less. But if we don't charge the value of it, it will become devalued, right? And what can happen is, because it becomes devalued, we won't have the resources to maintain it. And also, we're not allowing the community to elevate in their thinking, elevate in their currency in order to meet the value, because that's necessary. We know that when we become healthier and when we start doing things that's brighter and lighter for us, that we have to rise up to a certain currency to be able to afford it. And there was a time where we were not rising up. We were saying, "Oh, that's too expensive. Oh, and we chose to do the less expensive route, and our health and our life reflected that. But when it was time for us to elevate, because we had those people who had what's valuable and they were not budging on it, we rose up to meet it. And now not only can we meet it, but it's easy for us to meet it, and our reflection is of that value. And so value is a frequency. It's essential for you to pay attention to your value as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a spouse, as a family member, as a whatever. Notice who you are, who God has, what phase of life you're in, the blessing you are, the gifts you have, the talents, and don't devalue it. Stand on the value and don't go worrying about who can't, they can't handle it. Well, I don't want to shine my light that much. I don't want nobody to feel no type of way. Or I don't want to charge those prices because, the community over here, they can't afford it. Or I don't want to do this. No, uphold your value. And those who are vibrational match to it, if they cannot, you know, afford your value at this moment, they will. If they're resonant with it, if they desire to be a vibrational match, if God is calling them to be a vibrational match, they will. And you will be a part of their journey of elevation because you stood on and was a good steward of your value. So just wanted to give that context so we can understand what we're talking about here. It's not about the money, it's not about me, it's not about none of those things. It's about understanding that value is a frequency, that value is a vortex, and it's calling you. When you're called to uphold a certain value, it's calling you to elevate in a certain way. It's calling you to manifest in a certain way, and it's at a higher state than it maybe was before. And it's important for you to uphold that as you elevate in life, so you won't stifle yourself and you won't stifle that other person who is being called to rise up to that. You're not only stifling yourself, you're stifling that person too to rise up. For me in my situation, if I don't stand my ground on my value, then they won't, then those organizations, community centers, whatever, will never be able to ask for what they truly need to get that valuable service. They will only be able to get it in whenever they're lucky or whenever whenever somebody is willing to do it, or they won't get it as a sustained programming because they haven't learned the value. They haven't been able to rise up to the value. But as you stand on it, then those who are supposed to rise up to it, they will, and it'll be fruitful for both parties involved. All right. I hope that gave a little bit more context and clarity to the insight that was on part one. If you didn't check out part one, check that out. But valuable lesson for me today. I give thanks for it, especially as we close out this retrograde. What a beautiful way to close out the retrograde, to get that key reminder. Be reminded, the reads with retrograde. Be reminded, Yaninga, of your value and the importance of upholding that value, being a good steward over the things that God has blessed you with. All right. Peace and love, y'all.